I just want to start off with something random today because I feel like I had this question in my mind, which I thought, ooh, I should ask this.
For me?
Yeah,
Or a
like
general
for
question?
a general question for anyone who feels like answering it, but obviously right now to you. That, if love was a smell, what would it smell like to you?
Coffee.
You know what? That was literally the first thought in my head when I thought it must be coffee for you.
What about you?
For me, strangely enough, I thought of like freshly cut roses.
Oh, thank God you said roses. If you would have said grass, I would have
No,
gagged right here.
no.
Thank you
No.
so much
No.
for that. पूरे एपिसोड में मूड खराब हो जाता मेरा. Thank you so much. But why are we talking about love today, Pooja?
I don't know. I just thought it was a random thought that came into my mind last night. While we are talking about this, I have a confession to make.
You're dropping bombs today. What is up, Pooja? What's going on?
Well,
Public confession.
Public confession. I think I'm in a situationship.
What? Please, sorry. What? With who?
I think I'm in a situationship with my Netflix.
Explain, please.
Because see,
I just spat everywhere. What? What does that mean?
Because see, I'm meeting my Netflix in the kitchen, in the living room, in the bedroom, wherever I'm going, it's following me. For the listeners, Nikita has her mouth full of wine.
Wait. I am not going to drink while you talk now because I don't want a repeat of the pink lemonade everywhere.
Okay.
Situationship with your Netflix. Yeah.
Yes.
Go on.
Yeah, because I feel
full
like
attention.
Because I feel like we keep meeting in all these different rooms in my house and like it's following me everywhere and then
Bathroom?
नहीं अभी बाथरूम तक बात नहीं गई है इसीलिए situationship है. You know, especially when I'm cooking, which I don't enjoy that much, it's so nice to have company of my Netflix. And I feel like I'm also admitting that I'm a serial binger. And recently, and I love it actually when it asks me, Pooja, are you still there? You know, like, are you still watching?
Yeah, unfortunately, with 2 kids in the house, I have to pause multiple times. So Netflix has not asked me that in a long while because it knows I am there. I have to pause, play. But yeah, that is a luxury I dream of, like Netflix asking me, are you still there?
Are you still there? And the kind of love I feel for the app at this point, it's like, might as well be a situationship, you know?
Let us also clarify to the audience that Netflix has nothing to do with this, with us promoting Netflix here. We are just doing this because Pooja has something in her mind and I'm waiting to see where this goes.
So, yeah, because I'm a serial binger, I recently started watching this show called Nobody Wants This. And I feel like this is what we should talk about.
And you made me watch this.
Yes.
And I watched it. And I liked it a little bit. And I loved it a lot. Okay.
Yay.
And there's a lot of layers to this. Okay. But I'm curious to know, why did we take this show beyond a recommendation to a friend? Like, hey, I just started watching this show. Maybe you should watch this too. Why are we talking about it? Like, I know there are like good parts about it, but I want to know from you because it was your idea. And me, like a good co-host, I played along and I said, okay, you want to do this, let's do this. And I'm going to use this when I want to talk about something later. Like, do this for me, please, Pooja.
Yeah.
But yeah, tell me your reasons. Like, what was it about the show that made you go, oh my God, we should talk about this on the podcast?
So basically the first thing, like in the pilot itself, in the first 10 minutes, I think the initial scene itself, the moment I saw it, I was like, I think the sisters
Hang
are
on.
there.
Sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I
Yeah.
think at this point we need to tell our viewers and listeners that I'm sure you obviously know we're going to talk about Nobody Wants This, and there are going to be spoilers. So if you haven't watched the show, maybe recommend this amazing show to you and maybe suggest that you go watch this. It's got 10 episodes, 35 minutes, 30 to 35 minutes each, so not very long. You can finish this in 2 days or even a day if you are really motivated.
Like me.
And then come back and then listen to what we have to say. So here's your sign to pause, exit Spotify or Apple Podcasts or YouTube and jump onto Netflix and then come back here when you're done. Sorry for the interruption.
No, that's
Please
fine.
go on.
This was required. Otherwise, yeah. So 10 minutes into the pilot episode, when, both the sisters are walking and she's like, I think Morgan was saving Joanne from this bad date. And she says something like, oh God, Joanne, save it for the podcast. The moment she said that, I was like, ye to Nikita hai. The moment she said, I've heard that line before. Oh my God, so many times. So in my head, I was like literally on the phone to you screaming, "Ye show dekh, jaldi." Just because at this point I knew nothing about it. I had no idea what it was and what it would turn out to be. And for me, it was more to see, like I've never seen that kind of a banter before with a podcast in the mix, and it was quite interesting to see. And मुझे तो बहुत मजा आया. So I was like, okay.
Maza to aaya, obviously, but yeah, I wish there was more of the podcast in the show.
That's
true. It was, but the main story was also good enough. So let's dive into that. Hi, I'm Nikita.
Hi, I'm Pooja.
And welcome to
Let's Pour and Ponder. Now that you've watched the show, Nikita, what do you think, first of all, of the sisters and, their sister banter and their relationship as such, and outside the podcast, but also as podcast hosts?
I somehow didn't like Morgan as much.
Okay.
I don't know if it was because Joanna was the main character and we were supposed to root for her, and you subconsciously, even if your main character is a little bit negative, like an antagonist, sometimes you end up rooting for that person even if everyone else is right. I don't know if it was that syndrome or something like that, but I was not a big fan of Morgan for a lot of reasons. Some of it were like she was very dismissive of Joanna in the interest of like, I know.
Sorry, I'm gonna correct you. It's Joanne.
Oh, I'm sorry. Joanne. Why did I say Joanna? Sorry, Joanne.
Okay, Joanne.
Okay. Yeah, she was very dismissive. She constantly made fun of her. I know we said that we all need a friend who, sometimes tells us the hard truths, but she took it a bit too far. Like, I know what you're doing is wrong. You always do this, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, but when she was called the dumb sister, I actually agreed with that statement because she was that stupid. Because, I don't know, she somehow automatically believed that whatever Joanne was doing was going to end up the same way it always does. That attitude is something I did not identify with as a person. As a podcast host, also, I think some of it translated in the way they spoke to each other. And she called her boring when she got her life in order. In fact, when everything was going well, it's not working for the podcast. So sorry, your life needs to be shitty just so that we have good podcast material. I'm sorry. That is not something. I wouldn't do that to you. I wouldn't want you to have problems in life just so we can talk on the podcast.
No, I thought the same. Like in terms of the podcast, at least, I felt like, okay, maybe she was, egging her on at some point, and then she
Yes.
wasn't. I think the tragedies in Joanne's love life were like the topic of conversation all the time, whereas we didn't get to hear a lot about what actually happened with Morgan, and clearly
Now
she
that
was
you
also
say it, yeah, it's so obvious.
yeah, because somehow I'm sure she has had shitty relationships as well, because it sounded like she had that experience as well. So we didn't hear much about hers, which was not good. But otherwise, I thought as sisters, I think coming from a dysfunctional family, I sort of thought that maybe they're conditioned mentally to be that way, or somehow they've just become like that, and it just,
Which is why it is even more disappointing, right? When one person is trying to break away from those patterns and trying to find, has already found a person with whom they can have a healthy dynamic. This person is trying to say that it's not good. You have changed, you're changing yourself for him. But that change was needed, right?
Yeah, it was needed, but I think it has to be something to do with a little bit of maybe not jealousy, but the feeling of being left behind. Because now if Joanne is spending so much time with her new hot rabbi boyfriend, uh, then of course she's gonna be feeling like, okay, suddenly now I have this void in my life that my sister doesn't share with me anymore, like we don't have those kind of common experiences anymore and things like that. So yeah, I think it's FOMO as well.
But this is also a very good example of enmeshment, right? If you're grown adults, your life can't be all about your sister. And because you feel left out, it shouldn't be such that your sister cannot have a life of her own with a partner of her choice. What if her sister has friends that she wants to hang out with? What if it wasn't her boyfriend? Would Morgan still stop her? Or are they supposed to have the same set of friends, the same set of people that they hang out with together? That itself is unhealthy. And yeah,
I don't think they do have the same set of friends, because they've shown Joanne with all these different people, like the other group that she hangs about with. So I don't think they've shown that. But I personally didn't hate Morgan as much as you do, because
I don't hate her.
Like, at least I found it funny. I thought she got the comical value up a little bit with her comments and her sarcasm.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
I think I liked her.
I mean, she was good as a character. She wasn't that great as a podcast host. Maybe okay as a podcast host, because it seemed like even when the big things were happening with the podcast, it seemed like Joanne had to step in. But yeah, she could handle some of it, but she seemed a little naive and childish.
Delulu is the word.
But as a sister, especially when how do you be that person who brings somebody down when you see somebody happy? Like, your happiness is, in fact, she probably implied that her sister was delusional because she thought this was going to work, but you have no idea about the relationship. Even with a person that you know really well, you know about them and whatever details they share about their relationship only as much as they share with you.
Yeah.
And based on that, she made such a big declaration that this is not going to work or whatever. Sorry, I don't know why it triggered me, but yeah, sorry, Morgan, not rooting for Morgan, but she came through in the end. So
yeah, you have to give her brownie points for being a very loyal sister, because she heard something from Rebecca. She thought it to be true, and I would have said that to my sister as well, like, listen, this is what I heard, this is what was told to me. Obviously Joanne was like, no, you're trying to destroy it. She needed to fact check what happened. But if suddenly you know something about a friend, or your own sister or somebody else, that the person they're seeing is also doing something else behind their back, you would go and say something, wouldn't you?
yes,
So
you absolutely do. Where she went wrong was she assumed that what one random person told her in that conversation was the truth and her sister's judgment of her partner. Like, she said, he would never do this to me. He's lying to you. How is it that Noah is lying to Joanne, but Rebecca was not lying to? How did that assumption automatically happen? Whatever. That was just a poor judgment. But I don't know why Joanne had to apologize. I'm sorry, I wouldn't have.
okay.
She went down on her knees to say, I'm sorry, I didn't trust you. But she was wrong. She was wrong. And nowhere did Morgan say, I'm sorry, I didn't believe what you said about Noah. Noah was right. You were right about Noah. Sorry, I don't have sympathy for such people. Let's move on to better things, to dreamy things, to Adam Brody.
Oh my god, the man doesn't age. He is just like fine wine. And I don't
उसी बात पे
know.
एक सिप हो जाए, ले
एक
ले.
सिप हो ही
Just
जाए
have
यार.
one.
I mean, I had the biggest crush on him, and I'm sure so many women have had the biggest crush on him since the OC days. He was like the heartthrob, and now he's here.
Like I told you on our call before, no,
Yeah.
तू लगती भी Summer Roberts की तरह है, like that bubbly character. And oh my god, I remember her iconic line, कुछ भी होगा तो ew ऐसे करती थी. तो remember there was this one character in the OC who came from Pittsburgh. I think her name was Anna, the one with the pixie cut.
Yes.
Where are you from? Pittsburgh.
Ew.
Pittsburgh. Ew. ऐसे करती है. Then she just walked in. My sister and I copied that for so long
Oh
that
my
ew, just that.
God.
And then Paris Hilton shows up in one episode, and then she asks them where they're from. Orange County. Ew.
Ew.
बोल के चली जाती है. That was such a fun scene. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah. I used to say ew a lot when I was growing up.
Yeah.
So there you go. And I think we need to talk about the
What?
kiss. That kiss. Oh my god. The way Noah steps back. And like first Joanne says, "Oh, we haven't kissed," and he's like,
Just
like,
friends, you
yeah,
know. They're just friends, really good
I was like,
friends.
just lips, guys, lips. I want it. I want to see it. Do it now. And then he's like, and the way he like says, and then steps back, and then looks at her, and goes, "Hand me those ice cream cups." Okay, fine. He puts them down, and it's that moment. I think it's an art. I think our husbands and our partners, whatever, need to look at this
एक
scene.
second, what? अच्छा, और our partners, मतलब ये और our partners क्या होता है? Or our partners?
our
What is-
partners,
is this some new
you know.
term that I'm not aware of?
No.
What is this?
Like,
No, okay.
They need to study this scene, because that stepping away and just her standing there in anticipation, it's like chef's kiss, and the way he's like, "Put your bag down." Yes, sir, you tell me, I'll put
I would have put my bags down. I was ready to put everything on the floor when that was happening.
Oh my
Oh
god, that
my.
was so good.
Yeah, I think we'll have to do some Jadoo Tona to get our husbands to watch this show first of all. I don't think
Yeah.
they'll be interested in watching. But I think it was the taking charge of the situation. Like,
Yes.
I know this
I
is going to
love
happen.
that.
And it was the build up. Even she knew what was going to
Yeah,
happen.
yeah.
If he had just gone ahead and kissed her, that would, I mean, it's the anticipation, right? It's the foreplay of the kiss, I think. That's what made it more exciting.
Yeah. Facts. I love that. I was just like, oh my god. In that moment, you feel like, oh my god, you want these two people to kiss. And I felt, I don't know why, I felt like I was Joanne, and I was like, yes.
So, I mean, if I had to put myself in that position, I mean, I don't think I will experience something like this in public. I have experienced this, but within the confines of our private space, okay? But I think, I don't know, and I know I'm saying this out loud that I want to experience like this, something like this in public.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll be okay with it, given that
Oh,
I've lived in India
Nikita.
for 36 years. And while I know it's okay, and I have seen people kiss here in public, okay? So
Yeah.
it's not like
Yeah.
I have like stared at them or, like looked away. It's just I'm like, oh, how sweet. And I just move on. But I don't think that I will be comfortable. It'll take a while for me to get used to. But abhi, I have to slowly slip these ideas into Sandeep's head. Hey, you're willing to try something new? How about we try kissing out in public once?
Oh, I'd love that. Like, for you as well, and for me as well, like,
Yeah.
can you just imagine? Like, I think the best thing to do would be to be in another city or something. So just imagine yourself in, like, I don't know, Barcelona or Milan, where nobody knows you, and then you're there.
I am
and,
shocked you didn't say Paris first. How do you go to Barcelona when you're talking about big romantic gestures in public and not say Paris?
Everybody goes to Paris, Ray. It's okay. So it's like
So?
you go to any. The point is not the city. The
Okay,
point
sorry.
is that you go somewhere where nobody knows you, and then you start there. In a street where you don't care who knows you and doesn't know you. It's beautiful. It's
Not many
lovely.
people know us here
like
also.
it's like sunny and nice, and you're dressed nice, both of you, and it's like, Joanne, do it. you know.
Speaking of their love story,
Mm,
I think that from a show viewer point of view, okay,
yeah.
not
yeah.
from how it went on for them, I felt like we could have used with a little bit more of Joanne's backstory as well as Noah and Rebecca's backstory, because that would probably help us understand where Morgan came from when she was so skeptical of this relationship.
Yeah.
If we could see that Joanne had a history of bad relationships. Because even though Joanne didn't have any serious relationships, Noah's relationship was pretty serious. How could he just break up one day and be okay dating somebody within a week?
But if you see it, it sounds to me that Noah's whatever it was, it wasn't even an engagement. His relationship, the previous one with Rebecca, it sounded like an arranged thing, just because they are both in that
True.
culture. I think for him, he was looking for the feeling. He probably never ever felt that kind of way towards her, but was just doing it for the family, for everybody's sake, so that just checking boxes. And then I think when he saw that ring on her finger, which was like so which wasn't the best. Like,
Let's come back to
I
that
would freak
part,
out
okay?
as
Yes.
well.
Yeah. Let's come back to that. But that's what I'm saying. If he didn't feel that way about Rebecca, we would have loved to see that. At least one episode about their before lives, so that we could understand their characters better, because this entire show is their relationship is such a healthy relationship. It's not like they don't have their flaws,
Yeah.
but they're tackling their issues really well. They're having their low moments, and there have been moments where it could go somewhere and it could blow up, but they've tackled it well. And to me, at least, it felt like just seeing the good part of them seems like, arey, they are normal people. They are good at this. How have their relationships not worked? And why is it so easy for them? And it kind of then kind of sets a false narrative that it is possible without them working hard or without having bad experiences. It is possible to just have a hot rabbi land in your lap and have this perfect relationship.
But when has it been easy? It hasn't been
It
easy.
has not.
It has
It
not
hasn't.
been easy. So
But while Morgan talks about it, just one episode, like there was one date that we saw that he said something and she walked out, but that is it. From a story point of view, I mean, I don't,
I mean, you do realize that this is like a true story. So
which is why I'm sure there is a lot of material in the true story to go back into the past. And
maybe
then,
they didn't want to show that. I don't know. But I'm quite
Yeah,
satisfied myself with what they showed, and I just thought,
oh, I'm very satisfied with what they showed. I just wanted more. I wanted more of a backstory, is what I'm saying.
yeah.
But yeah, let's come back to the ring, okay?
Yeah. Would
If
you do
you've been
that?
in a
Would
relationship,
you do that? If you were, did they live together? Because I couldn't figure out, were they living together?
how would she find the ring then?
Yeah, they probably were one day.
See, even if you were not that deeply involved in a relationship, in your head, you come to terms with the fact that this is the person I'm going to marry. In your mind, you make your peace with it. So to get out of that mindset after years of thinking that this is, you would have imagined a future, right? Even if you've made your peace with the fact that yahi hone wala hai ab mere saath. This is my life now. So you have a future in your mind. Even if it's not the future that you want, you imagine a future. And then to come out of that mindset and actually start liking somebody else enough to land up at their doorstep at 3 a.m. it was too quick. It would have been a red flag for me, actually. If somebody just got out of a serious relationship and then they were being so nice to me, it would feel like I was filling a gap until they found the right person for them.
That's
Good
true.
for Joanna and Noah that that's
I
not how
know.
they thought about
Yeah.
it. But I would be skeptical.
But I'm more thinking in terms of what really happens when, sometimes people go and I don't know, get into relationships because of family pressure, get married actually in our culture as well. They don't love the person, but they just get married because they have to, because it's like the pressure. And then there's that feeling of, oh, now I'm in this. How do I get out of it? You can't, because you'll be disappointing so many other people. But I think for Noah, it must have happened something like that, everybody expected them to be together. They grew up together, and it's like, when families are,
Did they?
yeah,
Okay.
he had the baby foot, she had the baby foot or something like that in that box. So if they had their own
Oh.
baby foot, तो बचपन से ही साथ में है ना. So it's like
Which is even more surprising, right?
but it could very much be, I'm just saying, the kind of feelings he wanted to feel for her probably didn't come, and he was at a point where he realized that I actually don't love this person. I care for this
Mm-hmm.
person.
Mm-hmm.
I adore this person, but they are not the one for me. And I
Correct.
think he must have been realizing that for a long time. And the ring and her reaction to it, and just wearing it and being like, oh, I don't know what you were expecting to feel. I mean, I would have dumped her if I was if somebody did that to me, and I would have done it.
It was
Because
just
that
a casual,
can
just
be the catalyst for him to now be like, okay, actually, you don't really care and you don't actually get my point. So the feeling is not there. सब सामग्री है, बस आग लगाना जरूरी है. And that आग was
so
lit by her, so he
her
just did
putting
it.
on the ring was the straw that broke the camel's back, something like that.
Exactly, yes.
Which is what I said. With a few examples of her pushing boundaries and him being like, I'm not okay with this, but and him not saying anything, and then this being like, okay, now I am done. This is not okay with me. Because let me tell you, if I am living with somebody, if I've known them since childhood, them opening a drawer and taking a box out would not classify as invasion of privacy. It would be like, I would be disappointed. Oh, I wanted that to be a surprise. Now you ruined the surprise. It did seem like an overreaction without the backstory.
Okay.
As a writer who develops characters and who reads a lot, that information for me to root 100%, because even I didn't know if this was real for them. I mean, how long would it last? At what point will they say, you know what, I even thought at the hospital that he was going to go back to her, come under family pressure, or realize that it is just easier because of the differences in religion and all the problems that come along with it. I was this close to thinking that maybe this is not going to work out. I can't imagine how freaked out Joanne would be at thinking that he's going to go back to her. Of course, they were almost engaged. Because it's not just a girlfriend, it's an almost fiancé who the entire family knew, loved, approved of, and wanted.
Yeah.
Those are a lot of boxes that were checked.
I think that is another reason I wanted you to watch this show and for us to talk about it, because it feels a lot like what happens in our culture. I mean, I've had so many examples I've seen with other people and friends and stuff where someone has realized before they got married to this person that, oh my god, I'm making a biggest mistake of my life, but they are still going ahead with it because of the family pressure, or अरे अभी तो engagement होने वाला है, सब लोग आए हैं, रिश्तेदार आ चुके हैं, now what do I do? And then few years later they end up divorced. So it's like, जब भी आ रहा है अंदर से आवाज तो सुन लो और कर लो उसका, just don't be like, ignoring your instincts, and then you just make it a lot harder for yourself.
The difference here is that even though this was a family decision in case of Noah, the cultural difference in Noah still gets to say no versus arranged marriages may people can't say no without upsetting two entire families. Obviously the families were upset here also, but Noah and Rebecca had more autonomy over the decision than probably what
happens back home.
Maybe again in cities children can still say no, I changed my mind at the last minute, and a lot of parents these days would still be like, okay, it's better for you to say no, we've spent some money, we'll have to answer a few people, but it's okay, we'll deal with. In fact one of my friend's sisters was supposed to get married. We got the wedding invite, but a few weeks before the wedding I got a message that the wedding is not happening. So
it's,
and then
it's
obviously
a good sign
I didn't
then.
pry.
At least
Yes,
now,
it is. It is,
now
and
that it's happening.
more parents need to be supportive of their children's decisions if they want to back out.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: if you think your child is old enough to get married, then you should be trusting their judgment when they say that something feels off.
Yeah.
If they are not ready to make that decision, then they are not ready to get married.
True.
And you can't force a grown adult into, because it's not your life, right? I would feel so guilty if someone else's entire life decision was in my hand and then they ended up in a bad marriage. And then how dare some of these parents have the gall to say, we won't take you back.
There are so many of them, Nikita. I mean, it's not surprising at all back
Yeah.
home. It's just horrible. There are parents who even say, maar bhi de to ghar mat aana. Those are the kind of sentences some of my friends
Oh
have
my
heard.
God.
Like, even if they hit you, don't come back. Like, it's like that concept in Indian or Asian, let's say.
No, I don't know if it's there in other Asian countries like the Chinese, Japanese, Korean, वगैरह. But I think brown Asians will
brown
have this.
Indians, Pakistanis,
Yeah,
अपने side
yeah.
में तो there is that concept of बेटी पराया धन है. And they say it
धन
so
है.
proudly.
कैसे तुम किसी धन को कैसे पराया कर सकते हो यार? धन तो इतने ग्रीडी होते हैं, सब मेरा मेरा मेरा, इसकी भी जमीन मेरी, ये प्रॉपर्टी मेरी, बट बेटी धन पराया. Wow.
So
Way to wash your hands off all
it-
responsibility,
yeah,
man.
Yeah. And that sentence itself is like, they say it so proudly. It's like, हमारा तो है ही नहीं, हम तो इसको सिर्फ पाल रहे हैं, जब ये एज की हो जाएगी तो इसको छोड़ देंगे दूसरे के पास. And it's so like baffling. It's just, yeah. So I just, coming back to the show, I just thought, कितने सारे
Good for
pressures
Noah,
होंगे.
basically. Yeah.
And,
Good for Noah.
And that was quite refreshing. So many men also in our culture are unable to say what he's saying to his parents.
Oh, let's come back to that. Then. That has to be a separate discussion about saying things to parents. Let's take a pause and then come back in our proper second segment where we discuss family.
Ooh. And also top up the wine a little bit.
तो पहले bottoms up कर लेते as usual. First bottoms up,
खत्म हो गई.
then top up. चाहिए असली feelings आएंगी अभी सब बाहर.
Welcome back to Let's Pour and Ponder. This is Nikita
Welcome,
and
welcome,
Pooja. Woohoo. So we're talking about Nobody Wants This.
You know what the irony is?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants this.
Definitely.
That's the relationship that everybody wants.
Mm-hmm. I really want to talk about this one scene when they've had this amazing kiss and then Noah gets like 10,000 calls from Rebecca. I don't know why she's calling. And then he finds out that she's in the hospital and then he goes to the hospital. And everybody...
Such attention-seeking behavior, no?
Yeah, that was like...
Of all the people in the world, if you are hurt, why would you call the one person who just left you?
Yeah.
थोड़ा self-respect रखो खुद के लिए. I mean,
करो
Noah is
ना.
great and everything, but he broke up with you, right?
Yeah.
Have some self-respect. Sorry,
And
what about that scene?
on her own, actually, Rebecca is a great girl. I'm sure she can find somebody much better than Noah.
No. See, again, you're saying a great girl based on appearances.
No. Yeah.
She had zero awareness that the person that she was with
Hmm.
didn't really love her.
That's
How
true.
great is she really?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I stand corrected on that one.
She
Yes.
didn't, she just assumed that they are going to be engaged and not just found the ring, put it on her finger without telling him. Just nudge him into a proposal, no? If you found the ring.
Yeah. कभी भी नहीं सुना कि किसी ने ऐसा किया होगा. So I was talking about this scene in the hospital and where he now knows that she's hurt, but it's just her wrist, which is okay. So
है ना?
she's not
What a
dying.
big deal. Who made a big deal out of it? Was it the family?
The family.
She's
Yeah.
gonna die
She's
with a
gonna die.
broken wrist.
No.
Unless we are in a time where there are no antibiotics and no other medicine available, then yes, a broken wrist could probably lead to death.
Lead to death. But
Not
yeah,
now.
not now. There was this one scene where Esther, the Sorry.
No, no, you're right.
Says something about, you're not just breaking up with her, she's my best friend, but you're breaking up with the whole family.
Whose family? His own?
His own,
Or
I think Rebecca's family as well. But it's like you're basically, if you do this, it was basically just to guilt trip him into thinking that अगर
such
तुमने ये
desi
किया,
vibes,
I
no?
know, I was like, अरे ऐसे तो सब जगह करते हैं.
अरे
He was
मिल
like,
गया मुझे
अरे.
ट्रेलर क्लिप.
I was like, अरे ये तो इंडियन, फुल ऑन इंडियन आंटी है कि बेटा, जैसे जैसे इंडिया में होता है ना, अगर तूने ना कर दी तो मुझे हार्ट अटैक आ जाएगा, मैं मर जाऊंगी, ऐसे बहुत सारी
Basically, if you
मम्मीज
don't
बोलते
have
हैं.
sex with this girl for the rest of your life, I am going to die. When you say, do you realize, moms of
Yeah.
boys, how ridiculous that sounds?
Ugh. Yeah, but it happens a lot, doesn't it? So
And dads of girls also. If you don't have this is the man you have to sleep with for the rest of your life.
but that's so
Ew.
weird, right? कि बचपन से they tell us don't have boyfriends, पढ़ाई पे ध्यान दो, लड़कों पे नहीं, ये वो, all that, and then suddenly you're at the age of marriage and they're like, अरे अभी तो कोई ढूंढा नहीं, अरे अभी शादी कर लो, and the next person you find, you get married, and stuff like that. It's so contradictory.
But it kind of makes me wonder, these parents have obviously had a relationship and a marriage, right? What goes on in their mind when they say these things to their children? Because clearly, either they didn't have any expectations out of a marriage about any romance or love involved, and they just went with the flow and they accepted it.
It's that.
Or-
that. There is no or. It's that only.
No, in cases where there is a loving relationship within the parents and you know that there is intimacy involved, how can you just pick a partner for your child based on factors that, like family name and ye wo and wealth, and theek hai, all of that is important, like you need a good family, because in India especially, women go and live with that family, most of them, not us, but just women in general. So yeah, it does become important that it's a decent family, that they are well to do, because you don't want your child to suffer. But those can't be the only basis for finding a partner, a life partner. What about the ideologies matching, or having things in common, or liking or disliking the same things, or there being a balance about personalities, like I have these flaws, you have these flaws, but we fill each other's gaps, not I mean in terms of
Yeah,
in
and
terms
that
of-
too. We do
Yeah.
fill each other's gaps.
but yeah. But whatever. Oh god, there is a bee or a black color thing in the house. Oh. Okay, please जा बाहर.
Yeah.
बाहर जा तेरी. खिड़की पे चली गई बाहर. Oof, thank goodness.
This is also going in.
एक एपिसोड में कुत्ता, एक एपिसोड में बी. अब मेरे बच्चे आ गए घर पे तो I have shut the door, so I have to keep the window open, नहीं तो I'll melt and fan
Melt.
on रखूंगी तो फिर वो आवाज आएगी, तो I don't want the fan. But yeah, whatever, like basically you should, when you say better half, this is what it means. Like if I am not good at this, the partner is good at this. So if one is not good at A and the other is not good at B, between the two of us, we are good at A and B.
Yeah.
We are complete.
Yeah, but there is something to be said about compatibility as well, isn't it? Because अगर जमेगा ही नहीं तो कैसे शादी होगा?
So you went through an arranged marriage process. Let's not talk about your husband, but since it was an arranged marriage, I'm sure there were other alliances that you checked out to see.
Ooh.
What were the things you guys talked about?
It's a weird one because every person is different, so you kind of like treat it like a first date and try to take out as much information as possible in those, I don't know, half an hour, in that 30 minutes or whatever.
That's
But
it?
yeah, mostly. Otherwise people are like, कितनी देर बात करेंगे, अरे इनका तो हो ही जाएगा, because and I think
कितने यार what do these grown-ups think? क्या करना है मतलब शक्ल पसंद आई तो हो गया हाँ बोलो बाकी सब देख लेंगे.
देख लेंगे.
This is how we end up with alcoholics and people with anger issues and people who don't know how to.
But even if you're in a relationship with someone, until you live with them, you don't know the full extent of what this person is like anyway. So to decide on a partner with this arranged marriage approach,
In a love marriage, what we would call in India, it depends on how deep your relationship is
Yeah.
before your marriage. If it is superficial, ki, oh, you're so cute, Shona, babu, blah, blah, nonsense, and you've not talked about any real issues, then it is worse than an arranged marriage because तुम्हारे पास इतना time था तुमने क्या उखाड़ा. But if you've had conflicts, if you've had issues where you've resolved them or you've talked about your dreams, your aspirations, or you've spent enough time with each other, even if you're not living with each other, where you've seen how the other person is. Like Sandeep, when we used to meet, he used to make chai in my house. And I mean, there were aspects of his personality that I have seen that made me think like, okay, this will
is
be a
good.
good
Yeah,
person.
yeah.
It's not like you tu ladki hai to tu hi karegi sab.
I think it's quite different in an arranged marriage. I think for me personally, I was looking at more to see who I can connect with, like emotionally, more than anything else. And it was just so hard to explain to to everybody else and my parents. Like
I know so many
I would
people are
just-
involved in this process, right?
and then there's this thing where I said no to a lot of people, and I was like, click nahi ho raha hai. So there was this running joke in my family, what is this click? Kabhi hoega click? Kaise hoega click? So it was literally like, how do you explain a click to, your family?
It just actually goes to show that so many people have just accepted that their marriage is going to be just about producing children and getting
Yeah.
on with your life.
Yeah.
They don't look for that companionship or compatibility
Yeah.
or actual genuine affection for each other.
Which is why I feel like when in the show, which is
Thank you
why
for
I feel
bringing it
so strongly about the way Noah has felt, like he was genuinely looking for that connection, and he probably
Yeah.
didn't get it. And I had to kiss a
Yeah.
lot of frogs to find out, that connection is super important.
Yeah, it
So,
is
yeah.
true. And kudos to him, like you said, for standing up to his parents and his dad. One of the
I love him.
parent characters that I liked in this series
Yeah.
was he's like, I know, I don't remember his exact words,
Yeah.
but that conversation, that reassurance that it's okay, you can make this decision for yourself. Don't worry about us. We don't have to live this life. It
Yeah.
is your life.
Yeah.
And so my mama once said this to me, okay, long time ago, that of all the relationships in your life, your partner is the only one you get to pick.
Yeah.
You can't pick your parents. You can't pick your children. You can't pick any of your other family members. Your partner and thereby their family is the only choice you get to make in your life. You have to be very careful when you choose this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it can, obviously it
I
defines the trajectory of the rest of your life. And it's sad that most children or most adults in India, many adults, not most,
Most,
I think
yeah,
the stats are changing.
Yeah.
A lot of adults don't have that choice, even in this day and age.
And you can just tell if it's superficial, you can see the cracks as they progress through the relationship and the marriage itself. So yeah, guys, just make sure you choose the right one. Go with the feeling, not the moolah or the family.
And it's not, sometimes it's not just the money, it's about the looks and the, oh, kitna cute hai, haan, cute hai, theek hai, but what, beyond that, what is the substance? Like they say for women, it's the same for men, right? Looks fade after a point. Then do your feelings change after that? What keeps those feelings there is what attracted to you about the person beyond the looks. It's their
It's the
personality.
personality.
It's their nature. Yes.
Yeah. And it's
Yes.
the banter and they have to be funny and the jokes, the
that
inside
may not
jokes
be
and
the
those kind of
criteria
things.
Yeah, but funny might not be a criteria for everyone.
Not everyone, but
But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I think it should be up there, but yeah.
they should make you laugh. That's it. If
Yeah.
they are not funny to everybody. So संदीप के jokes पे सब लोग ऐसे क्या पीजे मारता है, मैं पागलों की तरह हंसती थी, पता है हम लोगों के ग्रुप में कि क्या है संदीप के
Heart
joke पे
eyes
सिर्फ
था
यही
ना?
हंसती है. So, हाँ वो भी हो सकता है. Maybe it was the rose tinted glasses that like everything he said
नहीं रे,
sounded funny
प्यार
to
अंधा
me.
होता है.
हाँ वो भी है.
We should discuss बीना जी. बीना जी के
Mommy,
बारे में बात
Beena,
करें.
I know. I want to hear what you have to say
I just
about Beena ji.
बीना जी पे तो बहुत गुस्सा आया मुझे. First of all, why do mums of boys have such a hold on them even when they grow up? What is that all about?
I wouldn't know. Touch wood.
Exactly,
That is not
touch
the
wood.
case
I
here.
wouldn't know, but I'm like, somebody has to give us an answer. Maybe one of our listeners can tell us in the comments somewhere. What is it? Because I feel like and especially ये शादी का बात जब भी आता है तो when it's like your son is going to get married to somebody or something like that, there is this special need for control from mother's side for some
But it's
reason.
weird, isn't it?
Why
you
is
have
that?
your husband.
Yeah.
Husband nahi hai, like he's passed away, or you're a single parent.
Tabhi bhi it's not
Understand.
okay.
Tabhi bhi,
Tabhi
but
bhi
then
it's
at
not
least,
okay.
At least you know that, your a mother has made her entire life about her children. But यहाँ पे तो जीता जागता अच्छा खासा हस्बैंड है और फिर भी मेरा बेटा तुम अपनी लाइफ पे ध्यान दो ना.
हाँ ना? And the way she goes, smiles and says, "What are you doing? You've had your fun." What do you mean by you've had your fun?
नहीं, but what a hypocrite. तुमको, you want your son because he's a rabbi to marry a Jewish girl, but it's okay for you to eat pork.
That was such a funny scene.
हाँ होती यार hypocrisy की I can do it but you can't.
You can't,
Why not?
हाँ.
If he has to maintain an image, then his family by extension you also
Dude.
have to maintain an image.
हाँ.
How can a rabbi's parents be eating non-kosher things? ये मम्मियों का logic मम्मियाँ ही जाने.
I loved Joanne's reaction to that. It was like a nice power play where she was like, "Oh, okay, I've got something
She
on
used
you
it to her
now."
advantage.
Yeah, but
Smart
she
girl.
was very good to not actually say anything to anybody else, which kind of
But she was right? Even if
Yeah.
she said it, who would believe her?
nobody would. But still, that gives her an edge now. It would
Yeah.
now mean that there is that power dynamic where she feels that she has something. I've got dirt on you, so now you need to like calm down, Bina ji.
But we do experience this in Indian families also. No, what was striking to me was how Jewish families are so similar to our Desi dynamic, especially in the joint family
True.
culture, जहाँ पे parents have such a big say in everything.
Yeah.
And like I said, the only difference is that it seems like at least American Jews, or I don't know what it's like for Jews in UK, but they do seem to have some sort of control.
Yeah.
They go on proper dates, they have relationships before marriage. So it's not like यहाँ पे तो boyfriend नहीं करना शादी के पहले, girlfriend नहीं करना शादी के पहले, सीधा शादी. As if zero experience and just jump into the most important relationship into your life without any idea about who the person is. अभी हो गया है. You can even quit a job. It's so hard to, quit a marriage. You can, but then it's not like parents make it easier sometimes. So in that way, that entire setup seemed very similar and familiar, which is why it was even more irritating to watch, especially the sister-in-law. What is up with her? Esther? Why do you... And how does she treat her husband?
Oh my god, that was like, why? I know he behaves like Sasha is like this, I don't know, the joker of the family or whatever, but it's like he adores you, he worships you. Then why do you treat him like dirt?
है ना?
है ना?
सच में ऐसा कोई मिल जाए अगर
Yeah.
तुमको तो सर पे चढ़ा के रखना चाहिए.
Exactly. You would be like, nice.
But I think it again goes to show that in a relationship, the person who loves the other person more has less power.
Yeah.
Which shouldn't be the case, because if it's a relationship, it should be a relationship of equals.
That is
But
such a strong statement, but I think it's true, and I think equal सब लोग बोलते हैं, but I don't think it can ever be equal. there is always gonna be some upar niche, but I
वो
feel
some
like
upper niche maybe. Okay, then let me put it this way: the person who cares less has more power.
yeah.
Then I don't think it's a loving relationship. Then I wouldn't want to be in such a relationship. Both people at least have to care a lot about each other. You can't be hurting the other person's feelings. You can't be treating the other person like crap. And he seems to adore her. She seems to just think, oh, he's nice to have around. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Ask your father for a promotion.
That's again another marriage of convenience, I feel like.
But do these people not believe in loving relationships? Do they feel like it's all in movies and it's just an illusion and that it can't happen in real life?
Probably, yeah.
Then I guess that sort of explains it.
No, but maybe people have not seen those kind of relationships growing up in their life. So that's the normal for them. So getting married to somebody, having children, living their life, buying a house, buying a car, all that is just a tick box exercise which is just going on. It's sad, but at least in our culture it happens a lot, Nikita. We can't escape from it. If you see here, even saying I love you is a big deal. अपने यहाँ पे तो गर्लफ्रेंड बनाने जा रहे हैं, the first thing the guy will say, I love you, whether they know the feeling of love or not. So
They think it's what it is.
Yeah, but that word and that line is so easily used in our culture, and even when we were growing up, like I don't know how many times so many people must have said I love you to so many people. It's like it's quite casually said. But यहाँ पे people will not say I love you until they actually mean it.
They have reached,
and they've
that
reached
point
that
in their relationship.
Yeah, and saying I love you is a big deal also. So which was such a contrast, and I was like, oh, okay, interesting. थोड़ा सा और continue. So guys, it turns out that this has been a really interesting discussion, and we've decided that we're going to split this episode into 2 parts. See the dates on the screen for the next episode release, and we will see you soon.
But there is something off about that. Would you like to discuss?
Their family's classic dysfunctional. We will see that, but I do feel for the mom.